Hey everybody, welcome back to Recall the Podcast. My name is Josh. Today we actually have an in-house band to talk with, and that is Floodgates. Hello, how are you doing?
Pretty great.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Would you mind going through and announcing your names and what you do in the bands, please?
You want to go first?
Okay. Yeah, your daddy.
Hi guys, my name is Eli. I am the blind bandit who is in charge of Sussex County newest hardcore band that's been around for the last couple years. We are just a bunch of 30-year-old dads. He's a cat dad. It's very important. I'm probably not even looking at the camera. I'm blind as shit, and you can see this, so have fun looking at that little perspective. We've been you can call it whatever you want, more or less metalcore / heavy metal, whatever the fuck. Delaware has so many subgenres, and everyone's got their own little niche. We make semi-heavy, semi-genty, not even genty. Genty's a bad word.
Why is gent a bad word?
Genty's not a bad word, but Disease had some genty aspects to it, but everything else kind of moved in a different direction, and I'm getting caught up on the semantics rather than, saying that we came together by happenstance and then kept switching people out until we found the right combination of people that we got today. It's kind of almost one of those mid-2000s metalcore bands where it's like, do you have any founding members? Yes, we have 2 whole founding members left. And it's been 2 years. It's not even like one of those long, like drawn out thing. It's just been a ride, man. Floodgates started 2 years ago. No, 3 years at this point. 3 years at a Halloween party that was a show with 3 bands at the time. 2 were local. One was from out of state that is actually like headlining and like doing big shit now.
Nice.
And me and Michael Skis, we founded the band together by just sharing music online. He had been wanting to throw some vocals on top of a song that was our first single called Disease. And at the time, I had been in my original project, Fate Eternal, for about a year at that point. And I wanted to do something heavier. And it started, the reason I even got into Fate as a band was I started as a side project with Michael McCreener. And Michael McCreener is more or less how I got started as a musician. And from there, one thing led to another. I was in Fate for a little bit. I wanted to do something heavier. Mike knew I wanted to do something heavier. I still wanted to continue on with Fate. Fate's currently rebuilding now. We'll be playing shows again in another couple months.
Nice. So you're still a part of that as well?
Yeah, Fate Eternal I jumped into, but Floodgates I founded. Floodgates is 3 years old. Fate's been around for like a decade, so like that's its own freaking story. But I got lucky enough to hop in with McCreener. He's a fantastic guy. Hanson from
Remlia.
Yeah, Remlia. He used to be a part of our band.
Zach Hanson?
Yeah, Zach.
Yeah, okay, I know him. Yeah.
Zach's one of the first people I met from Fate, and it was funny. As he was leaving, I was entering. So I was like, "Goodbye, friend." But from that point, me and Mikey kind of reconvened at his studio about like 6 months later after me and Skis decided to make a group with a lot of the members that were there, plus Mikey. So Mikey wasn't at the party, but everyone else was at the party. Almost the only people that are still in the band are me and Skis from that party. Everyone else is gone. Floodgates started out with 2 vocalists. We've lost a couple different guitarists at this point. We are currently a 4-piece. Now we're going more in a kind of chuggy hardcore direction with our next project, but what we're sitting on is our current EP, No Need for Kings, which was just this amalgamation of different niches and subgenres of the different types of metalcore that we listened to growing up, and you could nail it down to like 3 or 4 bands. Like we don't give you like a Dream Theater level experience of like diversity by any means. Like you could tell it's a Floodgate song, but we like Genty, it started out with us attempting to mix Acacia Strain with Zombie, One Devil Wears Prada. You get some Fit for a King and Disease. And then we moved in a bouncier direction with Unexpected Life, which is just song that Skis wrote years ago. Like that's one of the biggest parts of Flood is this brainchild of Skis' music that he's just written over the last 8 to 12 years. Some of the stuff is older, and we have no problem still using it because it's music we love. We're not trying. A lot of people are trying to kind of chase a specific like modern sound, and we like that type of stuff. We're not against doing it for certain songs, but we're also completely fine with playing around with like mid-2000s metalcore, deathcore, hardcore, anything that ends in the core we'll play around with.
Fair enough.
I'm Ben. I'm the second newest member of the band.
You're the newest member that is still here.
I'm the newest member of the band.
We just recently lost our guitarist.
I used to be in a band called Great Big Liars that actually played in the Firehouse. It's the Houston Firehouse.
No way, awesome.
Yeah, we played for 1CW Pro Wrestling. We were the entertainment.
Okay, they do that once a month over there. Yeah.
I don't know. Mike, the bass player, Mike Perfetti, knew he knew someone there, and he got us the show. And I think it was our third show because they had been a band previously, and they had 2 other drummers. They put up an ad on. I think their guitarist put like a post on Facebook looking for a drummer. My wife happened to know him, told me you should audition. I'd been playing for not very long, and I just went to their practice spot. I played a couple songs. I listened to all their stuff for an entire day, and I pretty much had every one of their songs that they had on like a SoundCloud, plus a bunch of stuff they didn't play, but I just learned all of it. They told me, cool, you're in the band. That was our third show, was the Firehouse show. It was 420 people or something. It was like insane.
Yeah, they draw big crowds over there.
Oh, yeah.
For the wrestling, absolutely.
I didn't think, like, he kept saying it's going to be a ton of people, so get ready for it. And it was, like, that place was packed.
Even with the TV on, like I live near it, you didn't know that until now, so thank you for that. But even with like the TVs on and stuff, you can hear them all chanting out there.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, there are so many cars. You don't even want to leave the house.
Yeah, man. It was wild over there. And they had us park like beyond the it was like
the other side of the railroad tracks or something.
It was far. But I was in that band, and then we had, you know, some stuff happened, and we decided to break up, which was super sad. And I was looking around for just someone to play with, because I am not hugely a great drummer, but
same. I feel you.
You know, like
we'll get to that later.
But I ended up Randy, actually, one of our old guitarists,
our founding lead guitarist,
happened to find me. He just sent me a message on Facebook and said, we're looking for a drummer. I know you from GBL. Would you want to come and try out? And then I did, and everyone seemed to be cool with me, and they invited me back, and now I play drums for the band. And
that is awesome.
Yeah.
And it's 3 years running now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Delaware has this funny thing of putting you in front of people that will be significant later. There's foreshadowing, like it's a shitty book. I met Ben while he was trashed out of his mind, like dreads hanging, freaking playing I think it was Rage Against the Machine, GBL.
Yep.
What was the name of your vocalist again? I know Steve. You and Mike were in it. Steve. Yeah. Yep. Steve went to a band with Mike afterwards called Power Seeker that I believe is still doing stuff. And he was a part of the band at one point. It was Steve the accountant. I thought that would have been the funniest thing in the world. It was like, what if he's not Steve the accountant? That's what I would have done. Like, oh, so Steve's him. No. Anyway, we encounter these people, and then just randomly they pop back. Randy had been... The problem is we had a Fates. Our original drummer was Mikey. And then Mikey switched over to bass because we lost our bassist. And then Kyle left. And Kyle was our other vocalist. And then Randy left for a little bit, came back because Randy quit drinking. He was having some struggles, and he overcame it. And then we kept him for probably another year and a half.
Yeah.
Something like that.
It's like right around Christmas, I think.
And then Corey Rahone Corey, if I'm saying your name wrong, I'm sorry.
Leave it in the comments.
Yeah. He was our founding bassist, and he was also in my other group, Fate, for a little bit. That was his first show. The first show we played together was a Fate show. So there was a lot of cross-pollination between Fate and Flood at the very beginning. We had our whole little Fate Gate collective thing. And then we unfortunately had to let go of our drummer. Ben replaced Chris. So like there was still some... there's still some like sore feelings about that, and that's just what it is. But like we all stay friends the best we can. Ben's an incredible guy. Ben and Chris have hung out.
Yeah.
Ben and Skis don't hang out anymore, but that's just the way things go. Music is just it's tough, man. Like I've lost a lot of really great people just because people.
We all have, yeah.
You zig and they zag, and it's just. You have to go in other directions. I'm just blessed enough that I haven't actually really lost anyone like that, but,
I think we're too old for that.
Never say never, bro.
Yeah.
Never say never.
There's certain lines you never cross, but you can usually mend things.
Mending is fine, and one of the things of Delaware is that a lot of people, they like to indulge in drugs.
Oh yeah,
and sometimes you don't get to see those people anymore.
Drugs in high school,
man.
We've literally lost a lot of people.
Same. So. I didn't grow up in Delaware, but I grew up in Jersey, and a lot of people that I was really good friends with are gone because of in their 20s and stuff, and it's not good.
I grew up in a pretty good upbringing. Like my dad had land. We started in a trailer. He was a mechanic. He kept working his ass off. It was one of those situations where the economy wasn't completely f***ed yet, and he could really Dad was a workaholic, and he's good at what he did. He worked on BMW. He was a technician.
I love that you waited till exactly at 10 minutes to say it. I'm looking at the number up there. It's 12 minutes in.
Two shits in the first 5 minets.
And I'm like, it wasn't going to be a Floodgates episode without a couple beeps, guys. Sorry. Dude. I was trying for him not to have to work. Sorry, man.
It's all good. I mean, I'm going to be there anyway editing, so.
Hey, man. Yeah. So we...
Leave it to this guy.
Dad worked very hard, and we lived a pretty nice life, but there was still a freaking drug house down this road. That's Delaware. Delaware's so compact that you can live in one of the nicest, bougiest neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Throw a rock. You can find a junkie. You can find someone willing to rob you. People try and talk like Delaware is this completely manicured, safe society. Nothing bad happens. Wilmington is one of the murder capitals of the freaking country, man.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
And that's where we play most of our fun shows, is up in Wilmington. That's where my girl lives, is Wilmington. It's a part of Delaware, but I'm from the swamp, and there's nothing to do but drugs. There's nothing to do but drugs, music. Yeah. And most people cross-pollinated those two. And I'm not here to, hop on some ivory tower and judge anyone for having something in their past, because I used to be an
we all have a past, yeah.
Oh boy, do I. Yeah. Nothing really bad, but I drank and I was an absolute freaking asshole, and music is one of the things that really I got to the point where I looked myself in the mirror and I was like, what type of person do you actually want to be? Can I respect myself enough to look my son in the eyes in a couple years? And I knew the way I was living at the time just wasn't it. And so I had to find something else. I was obsessed with proving something to myself.
It takes a long time for some people to get there, man.
So many people fucking rot here, man. It's terrible.
I mean, that's the thing with music, though. It's either the reason you start or the reason you stop.
Yeah. With
drugs and alcohol. I mean, you're either in the band and it gets you so consumed that you don't even think about it, and your only goal is music. Or you're hanging around the wrong crowds and going to the wrong bars, and then you start to decline.
Yep.
It's one or the other.
You will meet some of the greatest and worst people.
Absolutely.
In this line of work.
Yeah.
You got to keep you got to ironically keep your eyes open, which is hilarious for a blind man to have to do. But here we are, 2024. I'm handy capable.
Handy capable.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned that there was going to be an album. Is the album out now?
No Need for Kings is 70% done. We're actually cutting Bleed the Veil in the next couple days. Skis is doing a couple songs in-house. Grant Dawson recorded a song for us. That was Disease.
I've heard that name a couple of times too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Super cool guy.
Yeah, Grant's around, baby boy. And then we worked with Eric Blackway.
That's my boy. Hey.
From Awake and Laugh. He produced our second single, Unexpected Life, which is, both those songs are out on YouTube, Spotify. We DistroKidded. We are DIY as, like, we're running on Joyos and $200 Ibanez's with, pickups that are probably a little bougier than that, but
you can see the crap guitars I'm working with back here.
I was actually checking
it's great. I love it when guys do that, though, when they like pimp out the shitty guitars. Not even the shitty guitars.
It's what we had. I wanted to make sure everything was in the room so I could grab it easy. Yeah. And this was the solution for me to get all of them here.
Yeah.
And then I just put the lights behind there because it was cool. It was like $5.
Yeah. LEDs make everything cooler, man.
Right. I surrounded the whole damn room with them.
Yep.
Our bassist, McCreener, ironically has the best guitar collection because he just plays everything. Hence why he started the drummer. And then for Fate, he does vocals and guitar. And for Flood, he does vocals and basses. At one point, the only difference between Fate and Flood was where Mikey was. Yeah, Mikey and Randy Chinese fire drilled, and then you either swapped out Skis for Mike Kelly, my other guitarist in Fate Eternal. So that was the difference, and now we're just two entirely different bands with two entirely different sounds.
I was gonna say on this subject, since he's not here, Mikey is not only the best guy.
Yeah,
he texts me like every other day, just positive affirmations. I just wanted to let you know you're like the handsomest, coolest dude I've ever met. I hope you have the best day, and means it. But literally every instrument that he touches, he can just play like better than the person who is playing it. It's ridiculous, man. You give him a guitar and he makes like the coolest sounding stuff. He plays bass really well. When I couldn't figure out drum parts when I first joined the band, he was like, "Oh yeah, it's just this," and played it. And I'm like, "Why am I the drummer then?" Well, because I have to play bass. There was probably do both, man.
There was a bunch of people in the band that could either kind of play drums or could play drums but hadn't in a while.
Right.
And then there were like Skis will admit he is not a drummer, but he understands the technique, but he himself cannot do it. He'll say it all the time. I'm not a drummer, man. And then he will write drums that will show you that he's not a drummer. I'm like, oh, really? Would that sound cool, Skis? You don't say. Of course, everything being syncopated to the guitars would be freaking cool. But like Ben's not a fucking octopus.
Yeah, man. He'll send us these files and the song sounds amazing. And he's like, here's the isolated drums. And it's like, I can't physically do this. He's like, well, you can work with it, but I just thought it would sound cool. It sounds perfect. I just am like 10 years away from that. So
something that helped me when I started using DAWs and computers for recording is mapping out the drum part in MIDI and slowing it down so that I could figure out where each of the parts were when playing them. So that might help you out later on too. And don't feel bad. I remember when I first started with This Hatred Is Mutual, the old band years ago, I did not know how to use a double bass pedal, and our vocalist sat behind there and showed me how to use the double bass pedal so that I could play on shows.
Yep, that's what Mikey did.
Yeah.
I had one and I was trying, but GBL was butt rock. We were dad rock.
Yeah.
So
which is why I drew.
It was in between, like at the time it was like 2005, 2006. It was really in between, like, the time of people playing rock and people going into, like, metalcore.
Yep. And you started hearing a ton.
Exactly, yeah. So, like, I only ever had a single pedal. And then I went out to go grab with it. They're like, oh, man, we need to go get a double bass pedal. I'm like, I don't even know how to use this thing. So he hooked it up and was like, oh, it's easy. You just do this. And I'm like, you're going to have to very, very slowly show me what you just did. So I get it. So
every time I've never had lessons, but I've just known two people have really helped me out and like come to my house and they had lessons or they were in like what is it? Drum line in high school.
Yeah,
And they're like, I had a friend, a really good friend's younger brother. He's like 15 at the time, and he was one of the best drummers I've ever heard. And he took lessons from someone local. He sent me videos and had me take videos of his hands on a snare and just put them in slow motion. He's like, just practice these for like 30 minutes a day and you will be vastly better than you currently are. Because I have timing, but just little, like fundamental stuff I didn't have anything for. So he was really helping me out with that. And it did help a lot, but every time they'd show me something, they're like, I have to play it at this speed so that you get how cool it's going to be, but you have to play it at this speed. So I had to like throw on training wheels and sit in my basement, sorry babe, and just keep doing it. And it's better. I'm better than I was when I joined the band.
Did they give you a metronome in your ear?
I actually have one on my phone that does like the vibration.
There you go.
Ben doesn't need the metronome too much, like the click track. If we even had to use a click track, it was more to sync up one of the guitars, usually. Like, we had some timing issues at the very beginning, but that's one of the few things at this point, the songs we play, we have fairly tight. At really this point, we play around with it at this point. It was like, let's do it a little different. Like, see if they notice.
Really now it depends on if you have sound effects that you aren't playing. Like, if you have keys, but you have no keyboardist, then typically a band will use a click track so that they can keep in time with those types of things.
Yeah, we currently are not running like any backing tracks. We will one day because we have songs with effects on our... There are effects that you can't get from a live performance with our current setup. Like, there's like a breath effect right before the breakdown of Unexpected Life, and it creates tension in the song, and it's fantastic. I don't like... I don't hawk a loogie on stage right before the breakdown. Although with the rise of Hawk 2, I might get some. Might get some likes for that. So
I hear she running for president or something.
Yep. Why not? Why not? At this point,
sponsorships and
go ahead, get that bag. We're all gonna die anyway.
Hanging out with Shaq and all.
Hey man,
no, that's expected. Basketball players always fine.
I know the game, man. I'm not hating.
Oh man. Well, before you guys had gotten here, one of the things we had talked about is talking about the scene, the old scene, the new scene, the current scene. So let's go ahead and try to start talking a little bit about that. You guys are in the mix with the current scene. What is it looking like now?
So in Delaware, the scene unfortunately is mostly up north. You got about 2 to 3 spots you can hit. Not to name any names to drag anything out, but most things are in a more urban area. What we would like the scene to do more is we're trying to find more spots down south because we come from more of the...
Yes.
We currently live in Kent County. I come from Sussex. Skis is still down in Sussex. The band was founded in Sussex. We still, do all our recordings down in Sussex unless we go to some type of producer, which we've done twice and we will continue to do because it gives us a diverse sound, and there's just things that Skis doesn't know how to do yet, and that's completely fine.
Right. I'd like to meet this guy, by the way. I feel like he and I would have a lot in common.
Skis was in the old scene, so he tells us about it all the time. The big thing that has changed is we got to the point where it's definitely an older crowd. It's a lot smaller. It's more niche. There are more or less, like, Delaware is one of those states where everyone talks about how bad things are. And then when you actually have to, like, put a nose to who's around and who's doing what, most things get melted down to small-time gossip. And when it's not, it gets passed around enough that the people either see themselves out or they got their own little pocket doing their own little thing. And they can do that. Like, go do you. Just don't come over here and hurt the people I care about and the people I have around me. I can't, like, police everything in the scene. And I'm not going to, but I can police what's immediately around me, and that's all we've been trying to do is just trying to lock down good people around us, and we've been very fortunate with that. We have zero fucking fan base. We have an incredible network of other musicians that are incredibly amazing. And hey, maybe they'll be big one day.
My
but right now,
like us.
we play some amazing shows. Like, the scene is not dead. It's small. It's small. Right. It's niche. It has its problems. It's not perfect. It definitely needs some spit and polish. And hopefully we've got the group of this next generation of bands that just have come up over the last like 3 years. The ones that are still here, hopefully we can do something for the better, because things shift so fast in music, especially in a small town.
And our last like run of shows that we just recently did, we met a lot of younger people that were out of state who felt the exact same way that people in Delaware, because it's everywhere. It's like, you know, the grass isn't always greener, and everyone always, you hear so many people talking about wanting to get out of Delaware because there's nothing, instead of trying to figure out, like, basement shows used to be a really cool thing.
House shows were serious.
House shows, basement shows, like
Floodgates was at a house show. That's how it was founded. Yeah, it was like, fantastic. It was like 200 plus people in like a double wide trailer type modular home shit.
We've blown out plenty of lights going out now.
Skis broke ribs. It was terrible. It was fantastically. I had a heat stroke.
I don't think that too many people are looking at doing something like that. Like, There's you remember the person from my job who came to the Maryland show. Mm-hmm. She had this suggestion that, like, there's a house really close to me that has a ridiculous basement, and if I could get enough interest from bands that would come over and be polite and not destroy everything, that could be a basement show, and this could be a thing. We gotta, because she was from New York.
That's
she really wanted
sort
to
of
start.
The issue, though, isn't it? Is getting people to be polite about it.
And that's, like, every time that the conversation starts, I feel like it ends, because I'm uncomfortable inviting like 20 people. I would want 20 people to come to my house and do a show in my basement, but I don't trust 20 people enough to do, other than the bands that we play with, which could be a cool thing too. But it's like, for the things that people want to happen in this state, I feel like that's like the biggest thing, is not always talking about getting out of state and like
it's making something.
Yeah, you're here, so like do something with what you have. Yeah, but it just
one of the fun things with that part of the conversation is, like, the first note I wrote out this entire list a couple of weeks ago about the reasons why the Delaware scene fell off. Mm-hmm. And the first one I wrote is, we all blame ourselves and we're sorry.
Yeah. So that's like the most succinct way to put it.
I can't think of anyone that hasn't described this scene like with some type of longing nostalgia, but there's always that little pain at the end. They're like, ooh. It's like a flashback. It was like some shit happened, didn't it?
A lot of shit happened. A lot of great things and a lot of bad.
Yeah.
It was, it was the best time to be alive, but you kind of didn't want to be around it, you know?
Yeah.
So, I got this whole list, if you don't mind going through a little bit of the old stuff. And so, like, okay, first one was, a lot of us blame ourselves. We are sorry. The old guard fucked y'all up. Sorry.
At least you're saying it.
We acknowledge it. You know, I've talked to other bands about it. It's like, we definitely ruined any chance of anyone new coming in and doing anything fun with this.
Yeah.
Because we were the terrors breaking everybody's houses.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Sorry, bro.
I mean, I get the mentality because, dude, some of our best footage comes from us just like stomping in some random person's kitchen in Jersey.
Yeah. We broke a light. We had a house show at...
The cops did get called, but it was not our fault.
Yes.
At our guitarist's house. His mom let us do a house show there. She let us do a couple of house shows there, but this one specific one... Our vocalist was a really, really tall guy. He was dancing so hard, he swung his arms up and blew out the fan, blew out the light, and then there was this big old teddy bear on the side, and it got tore to shreds. The couches got tore up. Like, we walked out of there in a massacre. And she was like, well, this probably isn't happening anymore.
Done.
That was a lot of the reason why a lot of people stopped doing a lot of things. It didn't just stop at the house shows. It kept going at the fire halls. It kept going at the bars and little studios that you could get into. No one wanted us there. No one. It was legit. So, all right. So it started off with phase 1. Shows every week and weekend. We had the Crystal Pistol, City Tap Wagon Wheel, Hartley Fire Hall, CC22s, Anti-prom, you all know already we don't talk about anti-prom. Coyote circles, churches, house shows, galore. We were playing so much, we didn't have time to practice. We were at shows every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then if we had time, we'd practice on Mondays and Wednesdays.
Yeah.
It was flooded.
Yeah.
God, yeah, it was like every couple of blocks there was a show or a house party or something somebody was playing at.
Dude.
You know? With all kinds of really, really good bands. Nobody was playing covers. They were all playing originals. Mm-hmm. Everybody knew everybody. You know, if you couldn't get a show there, you could get a show down the road. If you couldn't get it down the road, you could go to Anti-Prom. We don't talk about Anti-Prom. but it was everywhere. It was madness. And so then we went into phase 2. Venues started dropping off because of all the fights that we were having, because of all the property damage we were incurring. I remember one, Hartley Fire Hall. I played, I got off, I was trying to get my drum set packed up, and me and Justice go out to the parking area to start loading stuff up, and there was just these two ladies beating the crap out of each other. I guess they were dating or something, and one cheated on one or whatever like that.
The Delaware love story.
Yeah. Well, anyway, one of them started running off. They ran into my van. The other one followed. They came out of my van. They went and broke a window in another vehicle next door to it. And the whole chase went on and off. And then that was really like Hartley Fire Hall was kind of like, kind of getting flatlined now, but it wasn't even the bands at that time. That was just people outside.
It was the lovely ladies beating the piss out of each other in the parking lot, which sounds hardcore as but
we tried. We really did.
Not great for business. Tried
to continue on. My cousin Dustin, he ran a lot of those shows. He helped figure out the food, get all the money organized, and after time and all these arguments, all these fights, all the parking lot arguments, it was like, look, we can't do this no more.
Yeah, we can't take the chance on you guys
exactly.
anymore.
And then it became an insurance thing. Then the same thing was happening at the Wagon Wheel, and I remember, I think it was Circles in Milford. They also had the same problem. So
Circles got shut down for some
Yeah. Yeah.
I know the people that owned it, so I was like, oh boy, that's rut-row raggy.
Then the neighbors started complaining about noise. Our shows would go at what noise ordinance it was, like 9:30, 10 o'clock or something like that. We would play well after that. So cops were always constantly showing up to all of our shows. And then we got to phase 3. Things started slowing down but kept going until these 3 things happened. Kids started getting jobs, having kids of their own, so the priorities changed, and rehabs and deaths.
Yep.
No.
The drugs started showing. Everybody was doing them at the shows, but they were starting to show that you were doing them. And interventions were happening. Rehabs were getting filled up with all of our people. And then we lost a lot of people, like a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it wasn't no small feat,
No, I don't imagine.
After a lot of that, it was like, I don't want to go. I don't want to continue.
I can imagine. We almost lost our bassist, not to drugs, but he had a terrible health scare where he had to have emergency surgery. And I thought about it. I was like, this is probably one of the few things that would at least... I told myself that I would quit music if something happened to Mikey. And then Mikey and me had a little, smack around conversation where it was like, you better not quit, motherfucker. But that's Mikey for you. He'll champion himself for his friends.
Well, that was right around when I fell off, too. It was like I wasn't a drug addict or anything, but I did have a child. Mm-hmm. So that's when I chose to kind of walk away. And I went to shows and stuff still, but I wasn't a part of the scene or anything. I wasn't playing the shows anymore. I was just like a bystander, a viewer now. And that felt a lot different because you're the guy that used to be up there. You used to be giving them the show, and it makes you feel some type of way. So I stopped going.
Yeah.
So, and then I joined, it was about 5 years later, I joined Scarlet City, which was, we tried to pick it up. Well, all right, well, there's not really a whole lot going on right now. Let's just try to make some music. And that lasted, 6 months? And then died off. And we all were like, look, this ain't working.
Yeah. But, I mean, to your point, though, with the people having kids and just as soon as it's not a massive group of people and it's a really small concentrated group of people trying to do something, it's like a mountain of effort compared to just, hey, can you call this person and this person will just set the show up at this house. It just turns into like this huge logistical, like we're planning the infrastructure of a city just to get a show going. And it like for us, he runs
I'm the setup guy more than anything.
And I'm the logistics person.
I do most of the booking. He does most of the logistics for setting up the shows, like who's carrying what, how
how many cars are we taking,
fuel
where's
costs,
gas stations if it's a trip,
time frames, scheduling.
And we carpool and everything, but when it's
I can't drive, so
we have it set up that we have a group chat, and it used to be 5, but now it's 4 people, which is still a good bit to manage because 4 separate schedules.
That's an achievement too, though.
Yeah, man. And like last year we were talking about like, let's just always be playing shows. And then when it got to be, we were burnt out.
We had burnout. Our first run was like 5 shows in 3 months, and Skis hadn't played shows in like 8 years. So I was down. I was slowly ramping up because I had stayed steady with Fate, and then Fate had a drought for various reasons, and I was super hungry, really wanted to be able to get into some niches that Fate just was never going to go because they didn't stylistically want to go there, and I stylistically wanted to go there. And me and Skis lined up creatively, and we bounced off each other very well. Skis has a very unique way of laying down grooves, keeping things from getting too repetitive. He is not one of the most technical guitarists, and he'll tell you that himself. What we do is not, feats of magistry by any means, but it's catchy. People like it. I've gotten compliments from Unexpected Life because it was a real song about a real problem, and we went there. I didn't even write the lyrics. I wrote Disease, but I didn't write Unexpected Life. And I like being able to creatively interact with people. And that's the whole point of the scene now. We're trying to just get along, coexist the best we can. If we see someone that's really doing something shitty, we try and do our best to try and remove ourselves from that person. Because Delaware's so small, it's so quick to be like, man, fuck that guy. And then everything gets tribal, it gets split up, and then we go through. We are currently trying to bring things back from the last time things got fucked up.
Right. We're gonna pause right there because there's gonna be a train going by.
We planned an entire guitar string cartel in the absence of the train.
Wow. Anyway, we were talking about the old days, and I was just wanting to explain to you guys a little bit about like what happened in the past. As I understand it, you guys are newer than the 2005, 2006 crew. So how much of the old stuff do you know about outside of what I've mentioned?
So with the olden days, ironically, it's mostly Skis. Skis was the last guitarist for Stars Not Sirens, so he was around a lot of that like kind of Milford pop punk crowd. And I wasn't there, so I might be even wrong where they were playing. So if I'm wrong on anything, guys, forgive me. Skis told me about it a bunch. I remember Resistance of the Fallen, like Vegas, like some badass bands, like Lifeblood.
Got a flyer of them out on my back porch I wanted to show you guys. So
Gravelight from Greenwoodstock. I never went to Greenwoodstock, but Greenwoodstock was like legendary with a lot of my friends. I had really sheltering parents, and I didn't get out a lot growing up, so I wasn't, outside of a couple church shows, I wasn't really involved in the scene, but I had heard about it. My family are friends with Ming, who used to own Circles before shit popped off with that, and things were amazing apparently. And then you'd hear a couple names. My cousin he was a drummer for a band called Food for Sleep that probably never made it out of the church show circuit, so you probably didn't ever hear about it. But like Resistance of the Fallen, Lifeblood, Gravelight, those were the 3 bands that I listened to. It wasn't just the fact that they were local bands, because I heard a lot of local music at like church shows. I'm like, I am sure glad you showed up, bud. You seem to be having a great time up there. And I suck too, so like by no means am I telling someone not to do music. But Resistance of the Fallen was the first band where I was like, wait, they're local?
Yeah.
I heard I think it was like Casino Royale, a live video, and I was like, yeah, they have a studio version too. And then I listened to that recording, and it was. You could. I still listen to Resistance of the Fallen. I still listen to Counterparts. Their little EP single.
That's crazy. Dude.
Yeah, and that guy, the vocalist, isn't even alive anymore. Like it's sad. Like a lot of people, we talk about people who lost their shit to drugs. Yeah,
absolutely.
Like it was really tough to hear that. Like people you never knew, but they were so close, and you never had the opportunity. There goes your opportunity to ever get to know them or to meet them or to ever get to see that band live. And it's, death is very final in this world, and that's a scary thing. And I definitely understand people kind of waking up outside of a haze. A lot of people from your time kind of talk about it like it was a hangover at some point, and it makes sense. In perspective. Well, it seems like it was a fun party at first, and then,
It was, yeah. But,
you had to pay the piper a little bit.
With every high, you get a crash.
You got to pay the piper, man. Like, I know that a little too well.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was a piece of shit. I came up with the crew. We came up through a couple dudes that kind of came from... They might have been like the young kids that went to your shows. Some of them started to do music, and some of them are still around, and some of them got into trouble. And at this point, people formed their little camps in Delaware, and some of them cross-pollinate. I try and have my finger in a couple different camps. I try and like diversify the people I talk to in Delaware, not just the metalheads. Like, we're really good friends with guys from Dutchman, Mad Dabbers, Great Big Liars before they broke up. I went to a Great Big Liars show at a underground venue in Milford that was starting to do shows and interviews, and it was really like, we were like, okay, some stuff's starting to come back, and we're getting some cool opportunities, had some cool memories there. So things were starting to come back. It seems like it's a roller coaster, and the highs are just a little lower than we would like them to be. I was like, it's time to go down again. So it's too small to fall right now, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. There are bands that are absolutely killing it right now. We have some amazing, guys putting out some stuff that you can listen to. You don't necessarily have to come to a show. And that's where it gets weird, is an amazing band that has stuff out online, and then they just break up, and you just listen to the music. Well, it plays tricks with your head because you have survivor's guilt. And it was like, damn, I'm still doing music with these motherfuckers. Right. Like, that's the band. Of course, that's the band that fucking got into trouble or fucking fell apart or some bullshit happened or someone fucking died. Like, it isn't always petty, stupid reasons. A lot of it is, though, recently. Like,
Most of it, yeah.
And look, that's not to downplay any of the issues that have happened. Some people have gotten hurt. Some people have genuine wounds, and they have the right to not feel safe in the scene. That's one of the reasons why, like, I ask questions.
Emotional and physical.
What can we freaking do to make it better? And I found a couple different people in the scene that are also asking the same question, and that's a good thing. So hopefully people can, police themselves enough to not burn the fucking stick house down before.
Yeah, I feel like even with anybody that you would want to work with and your own mentality of it, it's very difficult to get a crowd of people to do the same.
Yeah.
And it's even harder to convince a venue that you can do it.
Well, and a lot of people keep saying that we need to incorporate a younger audience. Okay, but
I agree with that.
And it's true, but it also needs to be a safe enough of a scene. There's a reason why they're not here. There's a reason why we don't have the kids around as much. Like some of the, like I said, the old guard fucked up. And we're kind of still healing. We're mending those wounds to some extent. Like, because pitching a local show these days is very different. Like, you get a lot of nostalgia. You get a lot of people that tell you how amazing it used to be. So you're going to show up. And a lot of times it is kids. A lot of times it is shifted priorities, and that's completely fine. Like, listen to the music if you can, or just like give it a freaking like on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. Like, do what you can to support your community. That's what we need right now. Like, everything's getting really tribal really quick because, the time. And we need each other. At the end of the day, we need each other. We have to live with each other anyway. Yep. So why not coexist with different music genres? Delaware doesn't want to give metal and hardcore a chance again, and it has good reasons.
Yeah, definitely.
But
so we're the generation that, at this point, it. If we can just make it better for the next generation of bands, that might be the shit. A couple of us might make it, a couple of us might not. Awake at Last fucking made it. They're fucking touring the country. It is possible. You can fucking do it. There are bands that are absolutely killing shit that might not make it, but they're going to have some of the most amazing memories and times because this shit does matter and people remember it. And it's all we got. It's all we fucking got.
I think we've met a lot of really, really cool bands that we've just played random shows with that are like the nicest group of people that want the same thing and they're just so like just polite, you know, like I've never
personable,
met this person before,
genuine
and
people
up to me and hugging me and like, oh, what's going on, dude? I'm about to go to the store. Do you want Slim Jims? And you're like, why? I don't know you, but I'm excited for the show with you. And it's
a lot different than the old crew for sure.
Dude,
you can have 5 conversations.
If you don't have $1, I'm not getting you the Slim Jim.
Yeah,
like, that's how
it's wild, dude.
The funny thing is, some people will still bring that mentality back as a joke, and you'll see the Nam flashback. I was like, oh shit, we're kidding. Mikey's one of the most generous people I've seen.
Jeez, dude.
Bums have Cash App now, man. Like we've seen some shit where it's just like, oh god damn it, you can't even use the excuse that you don't have cash anymore. Like, I got Cash App, man. I was like, the game has changed. Cyberpunk is here, motherfucker.
My wife does photography for us.
Fantastic action shots.
She's
Heather's X Photos. Amazing. Check her out if you need any shit.
She'll hit me up.
Oh yeah, she's like, we're close, and she's got a lot going on, but she does photos for us whenever she can get out to a show. She does every band. She'll send the photos, like she edits them. They look amazing.
Sweet.
And that, I think a lot of people. She was always so nervous when we first started doing this, and she decided that she would take pictures at the shows. She would not know how to approach people in other bands. Like she would listen all day to stuff, and then when we were driving to the show, this is the first band, she would put on a couple songs just to like get to know what they were doing. And then she was so nervous to meet anyone, and like, do you think that they're gonna be mad if I ask if I can take pictures? I'm like, he just hugged me and I have no idea who this guy is, so I feel like you're gonna be fine. And she'll go up, and almost every show that we've played, I think maybe one in the past 2 years, she's like, this is the squirreliest group of dudes, like the nicest, goofiest group of dudes that all are like more tattooed than I am. And you see people and you're like, I don't know. And I feel like that's like a huge thing too, is that it like bringing in the younger crowd. But a lot of people just look, it's like the way that we look when we show up, we're just like 4 dudes that just look like dads, but it's all squirreling out, you know.
Delaware is amazing too, though, because it's also, you have some amazing, very atypical, of course you're in the scene, you're an elder emo or whatever the fuck you want to call it, but we were just at the heaviest show of our lives that we just played with, like Delenda, This Is a Threat, really heavy ass bands, and dudes showed up in beachwear because it was beach themed. It was funny as fuck, and it was amazing, and it was like, they threw down, they fucking had as much crowd participation as anyone, and they came specifically for a band. They were friends with them. That's the thing, like, these are good dudes. Find the bands with the good dudes. The problem is, a lot of times, is like, Delaware's so small that we share musicians.
Everybody knows everybody.
And there's so much he said, she said stuff that you sometimes end up with some shitheads or someone that did something shitty, and like sometimes it's a timeout, put it away for a while, and, you know, pay attention, see if they can come back rehabilitated. And sometimes it's like, oh no, you have to go. Okay, bye. You're never gonna see that motherfucker again.
I'm not from Delaware. Like, I've only lived here. I grew up in Jersey till I was 19 or 20. So I was in the Jersey scene in 2005, 2006. Like, I was a merch guy for the Riverwinds, and they were like a country-ish kind of band, like emo country band, like Bright Eyes, but
country is farm emo. Just saying that now. Wow. And I stand on that point.
And then there was I went to high school with I think one of the guitarists from No Hollywood Ending, and they were like a huge national band, and then they broke up, and it seemed like the time when I was doing merch for the Riverwinds was when it was like the height of Jersey shows, right? Everywhere that you went, and we had the Stone Pony, and we had a bunch of stuff like down south, there was always house like what you were talking about earlier. And then coming here, it's like they happened at the same time, but Jersey is way bigger than Delaware, and it just everyone went to New York or PA.
Yeah.
Jersey sucks, and I don't want to play here, so let's go to these two places. Or Delaware, but they would only go to Wilmington, like where we're currently playing. So I'm like,
right.
Well, most bands that do well, like there's certain bands in Delaware that have done well, and they do that with PA. They do that with Maryland. There are people.
and Jersey.
Oh yeah, we have
Delaware
bands
that do not play in Delaware like that anymore, and it's like that sucks because they're actually really good bands. It was like, dog. But you also get like tri-state bands and like cross-state bands where we put Delaware on our backs. Like Ben was born a Jersey boy, but he's been adopted. Like we're all 302 boys at this point, and we're trying to rep our area.
Generation dug the hole and threw it in.
Yeah, we're just trying to dig ourselves out. We've got dirty fingernails, but we're digging.
All right, so before we go ahead and end this, first off, I want to say I appreciate you guys coming out and hanging out.
Man,
this
absolutely.
is really cool. I don't get to talk about the old days all that much, so I appreciate you all letting me spit off a couple things. But I guess the one last question would be, what do you want to do with the scene, and what can we do to improve it going forward?
The number one thing I found by talking with people is accountability mixed with reason. People do things for fake reasons would be a oversimplification, but everyone is positioning themselves. Everyone wants to like bite into that industry if they can, and to get into that mode, you have to get very Machiavellian. The scene needs to let go of that. The people that want to come into the scene because they're going to get big and famous, good luck with that mentality in Delaware. Like, we're going to look at you like you're an asshole. If you blow up, we're going to like cheer you on, but we're just here. We're trying to make good music, do the best you can, be genuine, and fucking watch your shit. I'm sorry. Like, I've seen too many good people that could really be touring the country right now that just fucking messed up, and they will probably be just one of those people where you're still listening to their songs in 6 years, but where are they at now? And that's sad. And we're trying. I don't even know if we're even going to be those guys, but I would like to leave the scene better. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be in it. I'm going blind. There might be a time where I just can't fucking do music like that anymore. Ben, has a house. All of these guys have jobs and houses and families. I'm a father. That's an important thing to me, and I've had to balance that a lot. And there's been points where I've thought about giving up, just like I think everyone has thought that there's been different points where the band was going to break up, or the scene itself, what little house of cards we've been building is just going to get blown away overnight. And some people, even from the it's really sad because now we're like almost the middle child, because we're not quite the new kids, because we've been around for long enough.
You're the teenagers now.
But we're not the vets either. We're not the old heads. Like, we're in it. If anything, this is our quote-unquote prime. If you want Sussex County hardcore, if you want to find out what four heads from the swamp sound like when we're getting angry about different shit, come out. Be safe. Be accountable. And just understand, I don't care about your politics. I don't care about your background. I don't care about your personal belief. I care how you treat people.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Yep.
I think that pretty much sums it. Just be cool people. Like, make really cool music, but be equally cool people. And and one of the bigger things, whenever there's a show coming up, or if you're trying to set up a show or do something, like, speak it not just into a void, but actually hit up bands. Like,
network.
Yeah, because you're talking to us, and we're two like super nerdy dudes. On the drive over, we were talking about doing a D&D game, or eventually we're talking about doing some kind of podcast, and maybe at some point we do D&D podcast.
You are not going to get you are not going to get money. You're going to get friends and some amazing experiences.
Very small figurines that you paint by hand at night under lamplight,
which you get to talk about on a podcast one day.
Yes. But
which I can actually help you guys set up, because I do know a little bit about podcasting.
Yes.
Oh, for sure.
But that, I think
everything sucks. Coming out soon. Kidding.
Rather than like having all this stuff set up and you guys are playing all the time, you sound really cool, and then I don't know how we're gonna get a show. Just reach out.
It's easier than you would think.
Or if you're into Floodgates, and I mean, obviously he's talking about us being dads and having responsibilities, but we're still trying to play shows. If someone were to hit us up and say,
which like, I did not,
we're trying to set something up, you guys are awesome, would you consider playing a show with us? If we can't, we probably know another band that we're really close with that would be looking like, I think that just starting with that and everyone chilling out on all of the, I knew this person 10 years ago and he did this thing, because you know,
is that person,
I don't want to say too much in that direction, but I feel like if everyone was a little bit cooler to each other and didn't hang on to stuff that didn't need to be hung on to, I think it would open up a lot more doors and opportunities for people. And I think that people would figure out that there's more happening and there's more opportunity to make stuff happen if you just kind of dropped a lot of baggage.
And there's nothing, look, if you have a boundary that someone crossed in the scene, you have every right to be upset about that. It's not about like, oh, boo-hoo, bad things happen. No, like legitimately come to people. I cannot count how many issues that people still bitch to this day that could have been fixed with simple adult conversation and just keeping people accountable and be like, hey, bud.
And there have been
what you doing?
Though. Right. There have been a few where
we've kept people off the edge. Like,
yeah, man, there's been a few.
There's some things that could have been a lot worse.
A years long grudge, and then all it was that we played a show. The two people happened to be there at the same time, and when they talked about it, it was like, oh, I didn't realize that you were saying that. I heard this.
Miscommunication.
Everything is cool now.
Also, people just lie. It's Delaware. It's small gossip. You know, word travels fast.
Absolutely. Too, dude. Everyone.
Yeah, and now it's the internet, so like everything's a small town now because we can all piss on Zuckerberg's wall.
The only way I can do what I'm doing right now is I recall the moment as a YouTube band. Really, at its like little core, it's a YouTube band.
The internet band is a thing. There was a point where we were scared that Flood was going to stay an internet band. But.
Yeah, I mean, it currently recall the moment is 2 members. How are we going to play shows? You know, and it's hard to find members that we are good with, we align with, we have the same ideas as.
They can play the music and they're not shitheads. You got to get all that, all those checklists.
So, I mean, like, it's the 2 of us, and I'm happy with it being that way. Like, you know,
man.
So I get to write music with my best friend and get to interview bands and meet people as like I would be in a show.
You're finding a way to make it work, and I respect that. That's a very good thing, and that's all that anyone can do with the scene. The scene is just a bunch of different cogs. That's what we need. We need people that are willing to come and take part of a community, come take part of an era. Okay, everyone talks. If you're wondering why there is no barbecue, it's because you're the person that's supposed to be holding the barbecue, bro. Like, we're at that age. We're at that fucking age.
My aunt's going to be there. I'm not going to go to that one.
I promise you, if someone's a shithead, you can literally come to me and be like, hey, that's the person's a shithead. I'm like, okay, well, if they physically do something that affects you, we will inform security, and we will make sure that you get to go home feeling safe tonight. But outside of that, stick around your friends. Talk to people, be personable, and you will find some pretty. And look, be discerning. Don't be stupid. Don't fucking like fall prey to like fucking shitheads because we know they are out there. The reality is we can't control who gets in the door. If someone shows up and they pay $10, they're going to show up to that show.
Yep.
You are giving yourself access to the public, but that's why I ask people is like, what can we do to keep the people that come and take part in our community safe? And the answer for the most part is accountability, visibility, and just keeping things as tight as you can, keeping tight with your community, having a pulse on people. And look, you're going to have to deal with some really charming, manipulative people. You're going to have to sniff out a couple liars. You're going to have to make some decisions, but don't get so cutthroat to the point where you become the demons you claim to hate.
Or
and that's
so
what I saw.
Nervous that you don't even go out and do anything.
And you just stay wallflower your entire life. Look, Mikey stutters. I'm blind and I look like an awkward dork on stage for the first 5 shows. I look like a paraplegic deer, like staring into the void, just like, can you sound? Can you hear this okay, guys?
That's something I've noticed about a lot of musicians is we all have some sort of a mental thing. Mine is tics. I blink my eyes a lot, and I can't help that. Like, I physically can't help that. It's like a bit of a Tourette's thing. So I've noticed a lot of band members in Delaware. They all kind of have some sort of characteristic or a trait like that is like they're either really OCD and they can't help but sit and finish that song, or they got that one little tick in their eye. It's like, why is that guy blinking so much? Or you know, I mean,
we're the punk rock theater kids that could use shotguns. Like, it's weird. Delaware is this odd amalgamation of redneck, urban, punk culture. Like, you can get anything here. You got like everything under the sun, and you'll find a combination of all of those things.
Yeah,
and it's very strange to see sometimes, but it's also very entertaining, and you meet some really awesome people. Delaware is definitely a fucking shithole, but there's some amazing people here, and one of the amazing pockets is the local scene these days if you know what to look out for. That's the number one thing. Be safe, be vigilant, but at the same time, be friendly, and don't be a shithead.
Yeah, be friendly, dude. That's every experience we've had with super friendly bands has made the day. Like, we go into it like, this is kind of a weird spot.
Yeah.
I don't know about this stage. And then just being around a group of people that are equally as nervously excited about playing. And I've heard all of your guys' stuff. I cannot wait to see you. Is like, this could have sucked, but it was made amazing because the people that we're surrounded by, even if like 5 people showed up, that always makes it better. And it makes it better that you guys have a really handsome drummer.
That is always a plus, man.
Where can
I thank God for you every day.
Where can we find Floodgates, and how do you get a hold of you?
Hey guys, Floodgates, we are on Facebook, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram. Our Instagram is FloodgatesDE, Ben? Okay. Facebook is Flood/Gates, because us and every other, East Coast church is named Floodgates. And there's like 2 other bands called Floodgates from different eras, but we're the Delaware hardcore ones. If you see a logo that looks like the Everlast font, you're in the right place.
I never noticed that until you said it.
Oh man.
Hey man, crack concrete hardcore shit. So Sussex County hardcore, DE metalcore. You can usually see us playing around the tri-state area. We are open to moving farther out, going on tours, playing music festivals. We have music video in the work. We have a couple different things cooking. We have an EP that'll come out hopefully in the next 3 months called No Need for Kings. And for now, you can listen to our first 2 singles, Disease, produced by Grant Dawson, and Unexpected Life by Eric Blackway from Awake at Last. I'm sorry, Eric, I got your name right this time.
Every time I try to find those to play it for people, I just go to YouTube and type in Floodgates Disease, and then it links both of them.
That's what I do.
Yep.
Yeah,
we do unfortunately have a very hard. You gotta involve the slash. If you don't put the slash in between the flood and the gates, you'll probably get a band with a name. Not a band with a song name called Floodgates. No. There's literally a band called Floodgates, a band called Disease that has a song called Floodgates. And we're a band.
And we have a show coming up next month. Don't forget.
We have a show in Edgewood, Maryland, with our boys from Calist, and then we play with Calist and our boys from Delenda, who we just got to play with at Icons. We play at a venue in Denton. I do not know the name off the top of my head. If you're listening to this,
do you know the date?
We do not. I can send it, and maybe you can plug it later. I'm not that cool right now.
I'll leave it in the description if I find it.
We're playing shows until October, and just until then, wait for No Need for Kings.
I appreciate you guys coming out. Thank you very much for hanging out. Join and Recall the Moment for the day. And as for the Recall the Moment stuff, we do this podcast once a month, and we release a music video every now and then. And we recently started doing reviews of local and out-of-state bands once a week on the channel, usually on Mondays, sometimes on Wednesdays. So until then, peace and love, y'all.